Welcome to Cattle Connect, your insight into Alabama's beef cattle industry. I'm your host, Kayla Greer, and this is Cattle Connect, brought to you by the Alabama Cattlemen's Association. Hey there, cattlemen, and welcome back to the Cattle Connect podcast. We are thrilled this week because for the very first time, our team is recording from the official studio home of the Cattle Connect podcast. And if you've ever been to the ACA building, I just need you to go on a tour with me in your mind real quick. Envision the elevator doors opening on the second floor, and just across the gallery that overlooks downstairs to the museum, there used to be an alcove full of a random assortment of photos and trinkets. And well, now that space has been redefined and is home to a beautiful wood-paneled wall with a metal sign and an on-air light. And through the doorway is a sound-batted room that will keep all the many interesting sounds of downtown Montgomery tucked away and hopefully make this a more enjoyable listening experience for you. And for us, we don't have to go, hey, we're recording in the studio or in so-and-so's office before we start recording. So it just makes it a better experience for the listeners and for us on the recording side. And I'm just marking a moment in history because this is our very first episode to be recorded from the studio. And so now that you're sitting in the room with me in your mind, I should put a few more folks in that picture because I'm joined today by Reed McGuire.
Happy to be here in the new studio.
Josie Jones.
Hey, y'all, we're super excited.
And the head heifer herself, Miss Erin Beasley.
Welcome to Cattle Connect.
And today we are going to be previewing the 2025 Alabama Beef Checkoff Marketing Plan. And Erin, you know better than anyone, how did we get to the point of having this document in our hands? I know this is going to be, that's a huge softball to toss you right there, but I'm going to do it anyway because you're good at giving this spiel.
Thanks, Kayla. Yeah, it's always kind of a big question to ask and probably a bigger answer when you talk about how you get to the Beef Checkoff Marketing Plan. But I guess I'll go to what you said. Let's just kind of envision for a little bit of a roadmap when we're doing this process. And I want to kind of walk producers through it. So first and foremost, for any of our cattle producers that are listening to this, I just want to remind you, whenever you sell an animal, so whether you're selling that animal through your stockyard, you've got a private treaty off the farm, wherever that sale is transacted, for each cattle that you sell, $1 comes out of that sale and goes into the National Beef Checkoff, and another dollar comes out and goes into the State Beef Checkoff. And the Alabama Cattlemen's Association is the qualified state beef council. And so one of our many roles in this building is to take those beef checkoff dollars and be really good stewards of them as we implement the many programs that can be funded through the beef checkoff programs. And so while we try to get to that point, what we have to do each year is we go through a process of a beef checkoff marketing plan task force meeting, and that is generally held in the fall each year. That meeting can be made up of beef cattle producers, industry stakeholders. It can be people that actually work with the checkoff programs each year. And we come together as a large group, and that really serves first and foremost as a brainstorming session for us to go through, what went good, what can we tweak, maybe some things that we need to set aside for a year or two, and then what are some new ideas that we can bring to the table. And so as a staff, once we come out of that meeting, we then build out a draft document of this marketing plan. And I always like to tell producers that it truly is the roadmap for the staff to take the marketing plan once it's approved and implement it, put it into play. And so it's the roadmap for us. So we take that draft, it goes forward to the Beef Checkoff Council. And for anyone that doesn't know, the Beef Checkoff Council is essentially the governing body of the checkoff program. And so that is a 14-person council that is made up of cattle producers, stakeholders once again. There's a few people on there that sit because of the position that they hold. For example, the Alabama Cattlemen's Association president has a place on that board. There's also a few at-large positions that's held by beef cattle producers. And so that group gets together quarterly, and we go over, what the staff has been doing, what kind of programs we have going. They make all the approvals of the budgets and any type of financial decisions that need to be made during the year to keep the beef checkoff program rolling the way that we want it to. And so that group and at the December meeting each year, kind of the big elephant in the room is that we have to take this draft document and we work through it and go through. And a lot of times, unfortunately, it's making a lot of cuts because we've got a lot of great ideas that are going to cost a lot of money. but at the end of the day, there's normally not enough money to cover all those programs. And so it's a little bit of a drafting process, if you will, where the staff kind of fights for, hey, we really need to get this done or that done. But at the end of the day, the Checkoff Council is the governing body that approves that budget along with any other financial decisions that are made as it relates to the checkoff. And so once that document is approved, which we have in place now, we can go forth and conquer as we roll over the new year and get to January 2025. So, Kayla, anything else that you want to add into that or that I missed?
No, Erin, I think you did a good job. That, like I said, it was a big question to ask, and I knew you would handle it well, and you always do. You give that speech so well. So appreciate you covering that, from how we collect the checkoff to how we brainstorm the ideas that form into a marketing plan and how it gets passed. So appreciate that. And before we jump too far into 2025 programs and what people can expect as we move into the new year, I would like to take a couple of moments to reflect on 2024 highlights from the team. So, Reed, Josie, what programs were home runs for you in 2024?
Yeah, so I think kind of a theme for a lot of the programs that I handle was making kind of some small changes that yielded some really good results, and I think a lot of growth. One thing where that really stands out is with our Junior Cattlemen Convention contest that we have at the convention in February. So if you remember, we used to have these on the Saturday of the convention, and we were lucky to get 18 or 20, total participants. Well, we decided to make a change to put that on a Friday. And what that's allowed for is teachers, especially that want to bring kids and just make a day of it, come check out the trade show, participate in the contest. That was a really beneficial change. We had over 50 participants in those contests. Those of you that may have taken in our Quiz Bowl competition or are regular attendees of that, that was something where we had 13 teams. And so that was a little bit complicated to make that bracket, but it was really good to see just all the participation that we had with those, and looking forward to those again this year. Another thing kind of along those same lines, this was the first year that we held 4 Junior Cattlemen Field Days as opposed to 2. So we used to do one in the spring, one in the fall. We'd kind of have to move it around or put it somewhere central that everybody could get to. But what we decided to do this year was have 2 in the spring, 1 North Alabama, 1 South Alabama, and then do that same thing in the fall. And that really accomplished what we were trying to do. We went to having almost 300 kids between all 4 that participated in those. So those would be kind of the things that stood out to me, just being able to make some of those small tweaks and just offer up more of those opportunities.
Very cool. All right, now, Josie, what about you? What about from your desk?
Yeah, so this was my first full calendar year here at the ACA, so it was definitely a year of learning how to take the programs that we already have and kind of expand them or make them a little bit more efficient and effective. And I think Beef 101 was a good example for us this year, taking that and turning it to more of a virtual sign-up form where people can go online and find out more information about that, and then trying to make sure that we got as many students in each session as possible, just so that we're reaching as many kids as we can across the state. In the fall semester of this year, we released the session dates, and in less than 36 hours, over 80% of those spots were claimed. So I felt like that was a big success for us in 2024, and look forward to seeing what that program's going to do in 2025. Another one was our 60 Years of Savor. This year was 60 Years of October Beef Month. So just a lot of festivities that happened through that month, whether that was on the state level with programs like Talladega, where we went out to Talladega Superspeedway during race weekend and passed out 5,500 steak samples to race fans and talked about beef production, or even working with the county chapters. I'd be remiss if I didn't acknowledge all of their hard work to promote beef across the state. So really providing them the resources to go out and share in their communities about beef production, because at the end of the day, they're the ones that do all of that hard work to get this product out to our consumers. So it was a real pleasure to see all of their hard work to promote everything that they do.
Awesome. Yeah, they did a really good job. Our county chapters are always the first ones to get in line behind how to promote the checkoff and come behind the team here at ACA and really make our programs more robust than we could do as a team of 4. So really appreciate their work. And, I would also, you mentioned being remiss. I would be remiss if I didn't include this podcast as a home run moment, because we incorporate this platform in a piece of the marketing plan that's dedicated to producer communications, which is an effort to keep you all up to date with the work of the Beef Checkoff Program. And this podcast does that through Beef Checkoff News, whether that's one of the Checking on the Checkoff segments that you've heard so far in this first season, or even if it's just a weekly fast fact. We like to do whatever we can do to share checkoff news with you guys, and this platform is just another great way to do that. Now, Aaron, I know you play more of an advisory and maybe administrative role these days on the checkoff side of things, which you don't come from that. You come from Josie's side of the world. So, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on a few programs that just jumped out to you big time from 2024.
Yeah, I got my start in the beef checkoff side, so it is a part that has a little piece of my heart still for sure. But I do get to stay more on the administrative side now. But two things that pop out to me. First of all, is you guys. I'm just really proud of the work that you guys continue to do. You take the programs that are approved, and I feel like y'all implement them. You do them at such a high level, and I'm always really proud just to highlight what you guys do. So that's first and foremost. And then secondly, I really am happy with the makeup of our Beef Checkoff Council. I feel like we have a really kind of an interesting and unique group that makes up that council that comes from a lot of different backgrounds. And whether it's the producer's input or one of our stakeholders that sits on it that is giving input, it's really neat to see it all mesh together. And when we need them to make a decision or need to present different ideas to them, I always enjoy the conversation that goes along with it and how they debate and kind of work through, getting to what the final answer is going to be. And so I just want to give some props to our members of the Beef Checkoff Council, because since we put that into play, let me just add this, Caleb, for a little historical moment. We haven't always had that checkoff council in place. And so that's something that's still fairly new to the association. A few years ago, our executive committee for the Alabama Cattlemen Association made the decision that, we probably need just a separate group that is working through this checkoff marketing plan and working with the staff a little bit closer versus our big board that is with the Cattlemen's Association. And so I think we're maybe 4 or 5 years into this, and I've just really enjoyed as we've implemented that council, got them working, and worked through the logistics of it. It's been neat to watch it come together because it really, it's a pretty flexible group that can make decisions on the fly or work through some things that we need them to do for us to be able to adjust and pivot during the year. And so those would be my two highlights: you guys and the Checkoff Council.
Oh, I think we can all do a little collective aw moment, team. And I agree with you, Aaron, that it's a unique group that's been really cool to work with. And one thing that I appreciate, having come from reading Josie's side of things, where new opportunities pop up in the middle of the year, I appreciate the council and their ability to play devil's advocate and ask the hard questions. And we can ask them the hard questions too of, hey guys, is this really worth it? And they don't just go, well, whatever you think. They challenge us on it, and they question, and they ask good questions. And so they're really good at keeping us in check and keeping us in line and making sure that we keep our eyes on the goal there. So appreciate them. And I second what you just said, Aaron. All right. Now, we're headed boldly in the direction of 2025. My fingers can't quite catch up as I was typing out the script for this podcast. I kept wanting to type 2023 when I was supposed to say 2025. So my brain and my fingers are still trying to catch up with that. But we, nevertheless, are headed toward 2025. And that means we have a new year of checkoff programs coming in our direction. So, Josie, ladies first. Tell the listeners here what are some things that they can look forward to from your desk. And while you're at it, if we have any first-time listeners, why don't you give them the quick little elevator speech of your role here at the ACA?
Yeah, so it's been mentioned a couple times that Erin had her start in my role and covered a lot of the areas that I do, which has been a great blessing because I can go and ask a lot of those questions about where we need to be focused on and where my time needs to be spent. So I'm the Director of Consumer Outreach, which means that I cover all of our beef education and outreach elements. That's everything from working with culinary programs across the state, that's working with retail and food service partners, and then also a lot of time is spent marketing beef as a whole. So giving out recipe cards and recipe information, sharing the nutrition side of things, really just making sure that our consumers understand what the product is and everything that goes into it.
And really, to sum it up, you are the Beef It's What's for Dinner girl here in the state of Alabama.
I am the beef girl. Yes, that is correct. And then I also have the opportunity to tag along with Reed to some of his different programs as well and kind of do the communications for that. So for anyone who's seen me at a field day or at Roundup, I really enjoy the days that I get to be out amongst our youth and learning with them about the industry and kind of sharing that message as they're working really hard to continue their education in the beef world. So as far as things that I'm excited for in 2025, I'm really excited just to take some of these programs that we already have and kind of expand them and make sure we're getting as much out of them as we can. We keep referring to the fact that we have a limited number of people and limited number of dollars to do these things. And so I want to make sure that we have very efficient programs and we're really getting our bang for our buck. I mentioned Beef 101 is a big win for 2024, and that's something that I'm continuing to work on as we go into 2025. So releasing those dates earlier, getting out to more teachers and making sure they know about the resources we have available. That's a really big goal of mine. And then just some other programs that I'd like to streamline and make sure that we have resources available, particularly to our educators when we get in the high school realm as far as culinary programs, making sure that they know that we have posters and cut sheets and lesson ideas available for them anytime they need them, just so that they're not having to completely reinvent the wheel on something that we already have available with all the factual information, whether that comes from our state office or our national partners. And then another big goal would be continuing to build relationships with our retail and food service sectors. That's something that we've done here historically and something that I really just want to continue as we head into 2025 because they're the ones who help get this product to our consumer at the end of the day. So making sure that we're offering them the beef education that they need to understand how to further market this product and sell it to our consumers.
My name is Brad Jones, and I'm the owner of Bluff Creek Cattle Company in Wiggins, Mississippi. Beef quality assurance means being proactive instead of reactive. It's looking ahead for the things we can do to make life easier for our animals. And one way that we care for animals that people outside the industry might not know about is it's a 24-hour-a-day job. Feet on the ground, boots in the mud. We are family farming at its core.
To find out more, visit beefitswhatsfordinner.com.
So on the opposite end of the spectrum, Reed, I'm going to pitch you the same softball that I tossed to Josie. Why don't you tell the listeners just a tidbit about your role and what are some things that you're looking forward to in 2025 from where you sit?
Yeah, so I'm the Director of Field Services here at the Cattlemen's Association. So kind of what Josie described in her role is mostly consumer-facing and more public-facing. I would be more producer-facing, I guess is the simplest way I could put it. You'll see me typically at producer meetings, county meetings, sales, stockyards, different things like that, traveling throughout the state. In addition to that, I also manage our Young Cattlemen's Leadership Program that I'll talk about in a minute. I'm also the state advisor to the Junior Cattlemen's Association and all those programs that are associated with that. In addition to a few other things, I work with Extension on our BQA and also work with Auburn on our research that we fund through them. But yeah, you know, you talked about, Kayla, earlier, not getting it hard to wrap your head around that it was 2025, and it's hard to wrap our head around with our Young Cattlemen's Leadership Program that it'll be in our 12th class coming up this year.
That is insane. Like, I was in class 2 about 10 years ago, which that tracks in terms of a timeline, but class 12 just feels like unbelievable to say. Yeah,
so, and that's a great program, long running. We've really started to see a lot of the fruit of that. If you come to our board meetings or any county meetings or the convention, seeing a lot of young people getting involved. For those that aren't familiar, that's a program that is for young cattle producers aged 22 to 40-ish that are members of the association and interested in learning more about the association, the industry, networking, different things like that. I will take a minute to say that right now we've got applications open for that Class 12. Those will be open until March 17th, so you got a little bit of time to get those in. Only requirement is that you be a member of the association and want to learn more, want to network more, want to learn more about the industry. But really looking forward to that. Great program and kicking off yet another year. I kind of mentioned earlier the Junior Cattlemen Field Days, just to talk a little bit more about what those are and kind of what I'm looking forward to in 2025. So those are typically kind of an opportunity for us to expose kids, whether they come from farming backgrounds or not, to more of the production side of the industry. So we've covered topics like BQA, we've covered nutrition, we've covered fertilizer, we've covered fix and fence, weed management, pasture management. Judging is a really popular one we've done this past fall and the fall before that. Going to continue on with having 4 of those. That's worked really well. So I'm just really excited to see those kind of continue to grow. You know, it's like any of these programs. You kind of have a couple successful years and then it kind of takes on a life of its own. People start looking forward to it and looking ahead of it and getting excited about it. So that's something I'm really looking forward to. Kind of the final thing, our AJCA Roundup, again, talking about, can't believe it, this will be the 19th one.
Whoa, 19. Yeah. That's a little too close to 20 for me.
19 of them, yeah. So this past one was our 18th. Again, kind of like I talked about with our highlights from 24, really could have put that in there as far as making some tweaks to our schedule. We added an educational speaker, got some additional funding in addition to what comes from the checkoff, but also from the state. We were able to add that educational component. It was really exciting to see last year. If you don't know, we have a cattle show and we also have different educational contests. We had, a record number of participants as far as kids that came just to participate in those contests. Like almost a third of the kids that came to participate in some of those educational contests.
That's really strong. Those are good numbers.
Yeah, and it accomplishes what we wanted to. And
that's exactly right.
To give kids of all different kind of backgrounds kind of a unique experience, kind of mirror what they would run into at a junior national. But again, those kids, don't have to show or anything like that. And so those will be kind of the biggest things I'm looking forward to.
All right. Well, looking forward to seeing those roll. I love, the theme kind of feels like that we're building on what we've started in 2024. It's a building momentum type of year. And we might not have these huge firework moments of something new or something exciting, but we're building, don't fix a wheel if it's not broke, right? So what we want to do is just continue the good work that's going and continue to tweak it and just make it better. So Aaron, having said that, I know, again, like I mentioned earlier, that you kind of oversee these programs, but what's something that you're excited about as we look to 2025?
Well, I really liked y'all's analogy just now of, continuing to grow what you have. And it's very similar to what we see on our farms too, right? We can't make just these huge adjustments on the fly. We've got to kind of be in this trajectory. And I love trajectories. Y'all probably hear me say that word more times than you like. But a good, solid, strong, growing trajectory is something that, it is the picture of growth. And it doesn't matter if we're talking about the checkoff programs, growth in numbers, membership, convention numbers, any of the things that we talk about. As long as we're in positive trajectory, it does feel like we're on a good path. And so one thing that I'm looking forward to, in addition to watching you guys shine as you do, but one big topic that kept coming up during our brainstorming session this fall with the task force was, we've done the segment before on the museum downstairs, and we know it's really unique to Alabama. There's not another cattlemen's association that has a museum. And so we know that we have a great need in the countryside, whether it be within our school systems, with our educators, within 4-H, other youth programs. But it is really important that we continue to get our message out to the countryside. And we're in a unique position because we have the museum downstairs. It tells the story from pasture to plate. And one thing that we continue to hear, and it came up a lot during our brainstorming session, is we need to figure out how to box that up and get it out, get it past just coming to the museum in Montgomery. And so we have not fully fleshed this out, obviously, as a staff, because we're still trying to figure out, what that would look like. But I'm excited to see some of that come to fruition this year, because I think that if we've already got the message, all we've got to do is figure out how to package it in a way that makes it successful for our great volunteer leaders, our young leaders, our junior cattlemen, all the people that are out telling the story, which is what we are always preaching. Like, let's get out and tell our story. So let's take this up, package it, and get it in a position where it can go out to the countryside. So I'm looking forward to that this year.
And Kayla, I know that a lot of our people get to hear your voice a lot, but you spend a good portion of your time highlighting the things that those of us do in the office. And something a lot of people probably don't realize is how involved you are in all of the things that all of us are doing, whether that's the 60 Savory Stops campaign or pulling off those junior cattlemen's contests and making sure that people know when to register and where that's happening and doing the post coverage. So let's hear from you for a second. What are some things that you're excited about for 2025?
Well, like I mentioned, and Aaron, and we've all kind of talked about that forward trajectory, that positive trajectory, and I'm in the same boat. I am excited about taking this podcast up to another level. We started from ground zero in 2024. This time last year, the podcast was merely a thought in Aaron and I's brain, and so it was not even invented. And so the fact that it's here and it's a marketable thing now, and we have a studio and it's on these platforms, it's here now. We have it. We have this tool, but we need to continue to build on it and make it better. And I'm looking forward to doing that in 2025. There's still a lot of different things that we can do, and I look forward to dedicating a lot more time to that in 2025 so that we can make this a premier platform for cattlemen to come, to listen, to learn. And we're already building out the 2025 calendar, and I'm excited about some of the topics coming to the show. So please continue to tune in and tell your friends. And then I'm also looking forward to, so if you're listening and you either you see it on social media or get it in the inbox, we do the Bama Beef News on a monthly basis. And we, over the past couple of years, have built up a pretty strong foundation of what that newsletter is. And I want to keep building on that. I think there's some tweaks that can be made to make it even better. And it's just a really comprehensive piece of association and beef checkoff news that we publish monthly on a number of platforms, namely our website and our social media. And then we put it together in an e-newsletter format that goes out to over 15,000 inboxes statewide. And like the podcast, I look forward to just making it better in 2025 because it is the tool that we use outside of this podcast to share how your programs are going, Josie, or what the numbers were on your programs, Reed, or maybe some of the association news, whatever it is. We that is like the comprehensive platform. It's like a condensed version. It's the condensed soup of the magazine, basically. It is if you don't read the magazine in its full out purpose every month, you can at least read the Bama Beef newsletter and know what you need to know in a quick format. And I hope that you read the magazine and that you read the newsletter and that you follow us on social media and that you listen to this podcast, because if you do all of those things, there is no way that you're not going to be plugged in to the association and to the Beef Checkoff and know what we're doing as a staff. So I look forward to making those platforms better for you guys so that you can stay tuned in and know what's going on. And I look forward to that. And I hope that you guys, if you have ideas or thoughts or suggestions, that you'll reach out to us and let me know what those are.
Yeah, if there's anyone that wants to see that marketing plan and view it or just learn more about what the checkoff is, the checkoff council, any of these things that we talked about today, that marketing plan and all that information can be found at bamabeef.org/checkoff.
All right. Well, you guys know what that sound means. It means that we are about to wrap up this episode. We're running a little long today, but hey, it's okay if there's good information. Let's see. I'm going to toss it over to Josie to hit us with the first fast fact.
Yes, we are right here at Christmas time and all the holiday gatherings, but if you don't have that special dish picked out to take to your family's get-together, or if you're hosting and still trying to figure out a super wow dish to put at the center of your table, don't stress. BeefIt'sWhat'sForDinner.com has you covered. So go over, check out their recipes. They have a holiday collection right there under the recipes tab, but they'll get you taken care of. Make sure you serve the protein that'll make everybody happy.
And I got to say, some of those recipes are really, really good.
They have a lot of great options for everybody, from appetizers to roast to beef Wellington. They've got you regardless of how great of a cook you are, how long you've been doing it, or what you need.
All right, Reed, why don't you hit us with the second fast fact?
So we talked about it a little bit earlier, but in February, we'll be having our annual convention and trade show at the BJCC there in Birmingham. Really great event, features the largest cattle industry trade show in the state. In addition to association meetings, educational sessions, we're going to have a BQA certification opportunity. We're going to have a board sale. We're going to have all kind of things there. So I mentioned earlier the Junior Cattlemen contest that we have there at the convention. You can register for that or anything with the convention. Those contests specifically, those are open to youth that are ages 9 to 21. We've got things like public speaking, quiz bowl. We've got career development, which is kind of like a mock interview resume kind of a deal. And kids, those are free to enter, and they can win up to $500 in scholarship prizes. Also, kind of specific to me, the trade show registration is open. So if you or someone you know in your business is interested in being an exhibitor there, you can just reach out to me or go to that convention website and find all the information. And also, if you want to register for any of the other things, it's available there too.
All right, Cattlemen, this is your public service announcement. It is 5 days till Christmas. So if you haven't gotten your Christmas shopping done, now is your time. It's your last weekend to get it done. On a serious note, though, we definitely want to wish you and yours a very, very Merry Christmas from the Alabama Cattlemen's Association staff and officers. We are thankful for you and hope you have a blessed Christmas season, and I look forward to kicking off a happy new year with you.
All right, so Aaron, you just mentioned that it's Christmas time, and that it is. And I just wanted to go around the room real quick because we're in a season of promoting beef. It is beef's moment to shine. Is that right, Josie?
That's right.
And I wanted to know what beef cut are you serving this holiday? Aaron, I'm going to start with you because you're the resident meathead here in the office.
And proudly wear that badge. I'm changing things up. I generally do a deep fried prime rib.
Ooh, you're going somewhere different.
Well, I'm staying in the same family. I'm doing a deep fried beef tenderloin this year.
Ooh.
I'm going to try that up.
Tenderloin. All right, Josie, what you got?
For those that don't know, how do you deep fry a prime rib or a tenderloin without burning their house down?
Yeah, that's a good question.
People
That's
probably
fair.
know that.
Fair
That's-
question.
You need to
people
know
are
this.
Okay.
Yelling at the windshield asking that.
Okay. That's a fair question. All right. For all our friends out there, let the beef tenderloin come to whatever you're deep frying. Let it come to room temperature. And while you're doing that, you're going to go out on your driveway. You're going to put some cardboard down. You're going to pull out your turkey fryer, which can be used for other things, as we know.
Can we call it the beef fryer now?
It's the beef fryer.
I think so.
At my house, it's a beef fryer. I don't fry birds. So, and then you're going to fill up your peanut oil or whatever you're doing. Bring it up to temp, obviously. And then you're going to take where you normally put a bird on the stand. You're going to just cut a hole up through your tenderloin. You're going to stick that down on the stand. And then you can just, when you take it out and you drop it into the oil, you just want to go pretty slow as you drop it down and just let it kind of catch up as it goes down with the frying. And then you're just going to put it down there. And Reed, I can't tell you off the top of my head like how many minutes per pound, but I think it's like 2 to 3 per pound. But you want it to be medium rare when you're done. So I would pull it at rare, which is, I'm going to pull mine at like 135 internal temp. So I would lift it up after a few minutes, depending on what size tender you get. I'm going to go whole tender. You could do like just a butt tender if you wanted. So if you're looking at like an 8-pound tender, put that on there. So we're looking at maybe, 15 to 20 minutes, and I'm going to temp check it and get it at 135, pull it and let it rest.
And are we prepping this like a bird? Like, are we injecting? Or are we rubbing it down with anything? Or just meat in the oil?
I'm going to season it on the outside. That's what I've done with my prime rib in the past. And I actually think it's going to cook really nicely because it doesn't have the external fat that the prime rib does.
Right.
And so I'm excited to see how it turns out. Now, if it's bad, then I just won't tell y'all anything. I'm still going to claim it's
Oh, we're
good.
asking.
But I am a salt, pepper, garlic girl on my tenders.
What kind of oil? You may have said it.
Probably peanut oil
Okay.
is what I'm going to try. That normally, like the temperature on that, it's not like hot or
Yeah,
cold.
yeah.
So I don't know. It does a little better with frying, I believe.
All right, Reed, and you seem to have a lot of cooking questions, so I got to know what are you cooking at your house?
So I have become a smoked prime rib guy this time of year. So
Busting out the smoker.
first one that I did would have been New Year's, and I've been hooked on it. So I'm just salt, pepper, some pecan goes really good with it. Like to serve it about medium rare. Try and get that. The good thing about it is it's a big enough piece that you'll have some pieces on the end if you've got some people that you don't want to claim in your family that like it a little more well done. And then the center will be like pretty rare. Just pull it, 120, 125, let it kind of carry over, and you'll kind of have a little bit of something for everybody. So it's a good, good cut to serve, for a group like that. But yeah, smoking it, I saw no videos on YouTube and finally did it. And
You were influenced.
Yeah,
You got
I was
influenced,
influenced. Yeah, I was. Y'all's work. It
This is where
works
the
on you.
checkoff dollars are going,
Yeah.
promoting beef to
Wait.
one
Yeah,
read at
it
a
does.
time.
Reed, what kind of smoker do you have?
So I have 2 smokers and a grill. So I have
He's invested.
Reed.
I have an offset smoker. I usually only use it in like the fall and winter.
Where is this coming from?
Because it's so hot in the summer, which is when I actually have time to do it. But it's like so hot in the summer, I can't sit there all day and tend to fire. But this time of year, it's really nice. And then I have it's called a pit barrel cooker. It's basically a 55-gallon drum, and you can hang stuff. You can put it on a grate, so it sits about 1.5 feet over the coals. Good flavor because it's like the fat drips down on the coals, and that's kind of where your smoke comes from.
All right, so Kayla, what is your go-to?
All right, I'm going to be the first one to admit that I don't do much cooking around Christmas time. I'm in full survival mode of making the magic happen for the kids. I can bake cookies, but making a full course meal, not really my thing. But I will say that we always eat a brisket at Christmas time because my husband's family is Jewish, and we all know
Mazel tov.
Yeah, that's right, Mazel tov. So his mom's family is Jewish, and so we have a little Hanukkah celebration, and we all know that brisket is a kosher cut. So Mazel tov to some brisket.
Very Merry Brisket.
That's right.
We love brisket.
I love brisket. It's my favorite cut year round, but at Christmas it particularly gets served.
That sounds good. All
That
right,
sounds
Josie.
really good. I think I'm going to go the route of going to Reed's house this year. Now
That's
that I
right.
know that
I
she
agree.
smoked prime rib, because I am a prime rib girl. So smoke it, fry it, cook it good in the oven for a while. Add some horseradish sauce, medium rare. I'm a happy gal. So anyone that's cooking prime rib, call me. I'll come over. I'll become whatever
And
other
bring
member
your
of
own
your family.
salted butter because she doesn't cook anything with salted butter.
I do not. Unsalted butter for the win. I love baking too much to commit to the other. So
That's something I've
Her
learned about
food will
Josie.
be properly salted.
It will be.
Total
It
control.
will be.
Guys, I'm totally
You're
outnumbered in
outnumbered.
here.
She has total
I
control over
recognize that
salt.
I'm outnumbered, but salted butter is greater, and it's even better on beef. These guys just don't know what they're
Says the
missing.
one that just said she's not the one to cook for Christmas.
I think she did just say that, actually. So
And good thing I'm a host of this show because I can wrap it up right there. That's all we got, everyone. We hope that you all have a very Merry Christmas. And I'm going to hold on saying Happy New Year until the 27th because we invite you back to come back. There will be more of this banter going on as we do a 2024 year in review wrap up of the Cattle Connect podcast to close out season 1 of the show. So come back on December 27th, and then I'll wish you a Happy New Year. In the meantime, Merry Christmas. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Cattle Connect, brought to you by the Alabama Cattlemen's Association. Be sure to subscribe to get notified when our next episode goes live. And until next time, remember, beef, it's what's for dinner.